Hey guys, Vile here. Today, we are back at it again with another Quarantine Z video. I'm currently traveling across the country the day that I upload this to take a look at my new house, which I will be moving to in October, which I'm excited for. But anyways, many of you guys have requested this video, so here it is. It took a long time to make, so if you guys were to like and subscribe, that would mean a lot. And I'm trying my best, so stuff might not look professional or everything might not be aligned, but I did my best. But without further ado, here it is. Quarantine Z Pre-Alpha Weapons Guide. First up are your fists. You spawn with these. They do 13 damage and have an RPM of 100. Meaning you can punch about once every 0.8 seconds or so. Next up, the wrench. This bad boy can be found in industrial areas and work areas around the map. It does 20 damage and has an RPM of 80. Now the crowbar. This item can be found in the same places as the wrench, but it does 25 damage and has an RPM of 80 as well. Next is the katana. The katana can be found around in dressers and wardrobes, in houses and apartment buildings. It does 33 damage and has an RPM of 100. The last melee weapon is the fire axe. This heavy hitter can do 40 damage, but it only has an RPM of 66. Meaning it hits hard but slow. Next up are the guns. Just as a guide for the statistics that I provide you on screen, damage is the base damage of the gun, which is how much damage it does to the limbs, and then if you hit a player in the torso or head, then it does even more damage. The accuracy is the hipfire accuracy. RPM means rounds per minute, and then velocity is how fast the projectile moves in studs per second. Just as a disclaimer, all weapons have damage fall off. It was difficult to figure out how to calculate it, so I was unable to get those numbers. So just know that the further you are away from your enemies, the less damage your weapons are gonna do. So we're gonna start out with the pistols. The M1911 has a base damage of 17. It does 42.5 damage to the head, 20.4 damage to the torso. It has an RPM of 550, but it's semi-automatic, hipfire accuracy of 32, and a velocity of 1500. This weapon can be found around in civilian loot spots in the map. Next is the Glock. The Glock has a base damage of 15. It does 37.5 damage to the melon, 18 damage to the torso. It has an RPM of 400, hipfire accuracy of 32, and a muzzle velocity of 1500. This weapon can be found in military crates around the map. Lastly, we have the 357 Magnum. This Skull Crusher has a base damage of 35, and a whopping 105 damage to the cranium, and 42 to the torso. It has an RPM of 150, and accuracy of 32. This weapon can be found in police loot spots around the map, as well as some civilian desks and in big guns in the Lakeview. Now the shotguns. There are two shotguns in this game. First we have the R870. It has a base damage of 11, does 13.2 to the torso, and has 11 pellets in one shot. It doesn't have a head multiplier though. The RPM is 55, the accuracy is 18, and the velocity is 600. The other shotgun, the Mossberg, has a base damage of 12, does 14.4 damage to the torso, and like the R870, an RPM of 55, and a velocity of 600, as well as 11 pellets, but is slightly more accurate at 20. The UMP-45 is one of the SMGs in this game. You can find both of the SMGs in military loot spots. It has a base damage of 16, does 19.2 damage to the torso, 42 damage to the skull, it has an RPM of 575, and an accuracy of 32. The muzzle velocity is 1400. The other SMG in this game is the Vector. It is chambered in 9mm ammo. You can find this weapon in military loot spots, like I said before. It has a base damage of 13, 15.6 damage to the torso, 32.5 to the head, an RPM of 850, which is the fastest in the game, an accuracy of 32, and a velocity of 1400. The first assault rifle that we are going to take a look at in this game is the AR-15. Fun fact about the AR-15. It was the first weapon introduced in Quarantine Z, which is pretty cool. You can find the AR-15 in police areas around the map. It has a base damage of 16. It does 22.8 damage to the chest, 47.5 damage to the head. It has an RPM of 450 and an accuracy of 32, as well as a muzzle velocity of 1500. The M4A1 is a little different than the AR, but very similar. It has a base damage of 17, slightly less than the AR-15, 20.4 to the torso, 42.5 to the head, and an accuracy of 32, and a muzzle velocity of 1500. The difference between the M4 and the AR-15 is the AR-15 does slightly more damage, but is semi-automatic. However, the M4 is automatic, but does slightly less damage. And the last AR in this game is the Scar. It can be found in military crates around the map, or in airdrops. It has a base damage of 21. It does 25.2 to the torso, 52.5 to the head, which means it can 2-tap, an RPM of 500, an accuracy of 32, and a muzzle velocity of 2000. Now on to the snipers. First off is the crossbow. It has a base damage of 60, it does 72 to the chest, 150 to the head. It has an RPM of 30, meaning one shot every 2 seconds, an accuracy of 32, and a velocity of 800. The MVP LC has a base damage of 38, does 45.6 damage to the torso, 76 to the head. It has an RPM of 39, an accuracy of 24, and a muzzle velocity of 2500. The R700 has a base damage of 70, 84 to the torso, and 175 to the melon. It has an RPM of 30, which is slightly lower than the MVP, an accuracy of 24, and a velocity of 2500. Last but not least is the MRAD. This is the rarest gun in the game, and it can be found in military crates. It has a base damage of 85. It does 102 to the chest and 212 to the head. meaning you can kill 2 people. It has an RPM of 30, an accuracy of 24, and a velocity of 2500. Well guys, that's been it for today's video. I'm sure you might have seen in the C Games Discord the unfortunate news that compiler error, basically the only person working on Quarantine Z, has left the project. However, more developers in the group are going to be going back to that project after they finish with their current projects. But if you have made it this far, thank you so much. But anyways, I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.